Ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed back. It's been a while. The hiatus is
A little while,
sponsored
yeah.
by Spectrum and great internet. Um, for those of you that don't know, Boyd can explain in a second. But in today's episode, we're going to be going over the wide receiver rooms, ones that are more ambiguous overall. So we're kind of going to go over based off of their sleeper ADP and whether or not who we would want to take from those wide receiver rooms, and then have a discussion based off of that. Boyd, would you want to tell them about the beautiful internet service that you've been having?
Yeah, so long story short, obviously I'm in a new room. Big boy is still here. But yeah, I moved, and at the end of July I moved, and Spectrum told me that I tried to set up the internet like a month before I moved, and pretty much they needed a permit, yada yada. It took them a very long time to get the permit, and then when they got the permit and did the road work, they didn't tell me that it was done. So then I was just sitting here waiting for probably a few days. But yeah, internet's good now. A guy named Daryl came and did it. Shout out Daryl.
Shout out
Shout
Daryl.
out, Daryl.
Internet works. Big boy's here. I'm here. New room, new vibes, new season coming up. We're ready
Let's
to rock.
New season.
go.
So, how have you been, Vic?
Listen, I got my adult beverage here. You know, it's been utter chaos in the big streets. Okay, so I'm excited to be back though. I'm excited for football to be back. I feel like we're getting blue balled a little bit. I'm ready for my drafts to start and the season to start. It's gonna be a long week this week. That's all I know. It's gonna be a long week.
This week.
But I'm stoked. I'm glad to be here.
Yep, I got 2 drafts. I'm going to be grinding Star Wars Outlaws a little bit, so we're out here. So
Life's good.
all right, well, life is indeed good, my friends. So without further ado, we're going to get right into our topic today, which we're discussing wide receivers. So we're going to start off by what I like to call ambiguously meh wide receiver rooms. So wide receiver rooms that aren't very high end and have a lot of interesting options, but they're not. You don't have to pay premium prices for. We're kind of going to go over it at length. So we're going to be going over the Packers wide receiver room, the New England wide receiver room, which pains me as a Pats fan to just look at the depth chart, and then the Buffalo wide receiver room. So without further ado, Vic, do you want to take us away on your initial thoughts on the Packers room?
Okay, so I think the Packers room is very interesting. I think they're a little bit overhyped as potentially the next big thing. Jordan Love played well for the back half of the season, and he was playing against some terrible defenses. I would like to see a full year sample size, but I'm picky. And he was playing teams like the Vikings and the Bears and the Lions, which he's going to play every fucking year because that's his division. So there's no reason to expect that he's going to have good matchups all year. So in terms of this receiver room, I'm not touching Jayden Reed with a 25-foot pole. I think he's too expensive. He was good. And I'm not gonna discredit that. Especially in his rookie season. He was a rookie last year, right? Yeah. So kind of came out of nowhere, played very well. He had great advanced metrics. I'm just a Christian Watson guy personally. I would like to take that risk. I know he has the leg issues and he's trying to balance the muscles in his legs and he can't stay on the field. I just think his upside is too high. He's a prototypical alpha build. He's shown to be able to make those splash plays, and he's just the most exciting option in my opinion. If I were to pick a different player, it would be Dontayvion Wicks, just because he also had some pretty insane metrics. I'm just saying if I were to do the cheapest option.
It's just those are literally the 2 guys that I have exposure to. I have 13% Watson, 20% Wicks.
Yeah,
and I have 2% of the other 2. So
I'm
you're literally reading my mind.
I'm almost always a proponent of get the cheapest one in ambiguous rooms like this, but this is a bit different. Dontayvion Wicks led the team in yards per route run. He led the team in targets per route run. He led the team in a stat that I like a lot, which is first downs per route run. So on a per route run basis, he was the best receiver in the room. Now his playing time is going to be incredibly difficult to earn, especially when Jayden Reed was also very good. Like I already said, I'm in on Christian Watson, and Doubs led the team in snaps last year.
Doubs
so
He's out there. He runs routes.
It's gonna be it's gonna be hard for Wicks to get playing time, but if you're unlike me and you think Christian Watson will never play a full season and his hamstrings are always going to suck, then I would go Dontayvion Wicks, get the cheapest one, who also showed immense upside last year. And I'm just avoiding Jayden Reed. I just can't do it. And Doubs is like existing exactly as you said. He's kind of there. So
he runs
Watson is my big pick, though. Watson, I'm trying to draft a decent amount personally.
Good stuff. It's kind of funny because you guys have a different viewpoint of Jayden Reed. At the 702 on Sleepers ADP, like that's for PPR for those of you that are wondering. I am a big proponent of Jayden Reed. And just to kind of like put in perspective, like I did actually just look, and Green Bay has the third easiest schedule for quarterbacks this year. So I do think that he will still have those cupcake matchups. So I don't see the offense taking a step back. Well, it'll be interesting to see the difference because they have Josh Jacobs there. So like in terms of how that offense operates through him could determine a little bit. But then we also have Luke Musgrave and Croft. So like there's a lot of options that we really don't know who the best are. Like ADP wise, I think Watson and Reed are clearly the better choices, and I like both. I'm not a huge Dontayvion Wicks guy. I know there is the talent. I just think there's too many mouths to feed, and he'll be the odd man out.
Right.
But that's also contingent on Doubs staying in that third wide receiver role. Because if I feel that Doubs is probably, if there is someone to lose out, it'll be Doubs, or if Watson goes down with an injury, which is common, which seems to be a recurring theme. But Jayden Reed just, he does like to operate out of the slot, and he does get those manufactured touches at times. But I don't know. I don't see a world where he takes a step back from last year, and he was very encouraging last year. So I'm a believer in Jayden Reed. I think that the 702 is maybe a little bit pricey. Like the middle of the seventh might be where I'd like to target him, but it also depends on the build that I'm going, because I've already gotten my top players at that point. So if I was going like 3 wide receiver builds and I only had 2, like he might be my third, just in a 12 man. So
yeah, for
and
sure.
this is also and that 702 ADP is based off 12 teamers, not 7 teamers. So just take that into account. It's like around pick 80.
Yep.
So, alrighty. Do you guys have any other thoughts on the Green Bay room?
I like Jordan Love. I think he's good. I like his wideouts. Let's draft him.
Yeah.
But Jayden Reed's a little too pricey for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a 1v2 here in terms of Jayden Reed. So you guys can make your own decisions. But that's again why we're doing this, because it is an ambiguous situation. So we got to take in different accounts.
You got to take shots where you can.
Yeah, it's not that they dislike him. It's just they dislike the cost for him. Whereas with me, I'm more adventurous when it comes to taking those upside shots. But there's also the upside shot with Watson 2 rounds later too.
Worthy
so
instead.
you go with that.
Yeah. And it is important to note, like, there could also be no answer here. Like
it could all just be mid.
They
could all
just
run
run
around,
100 yards,
rotate out, and
they could all get a 15 to 20% target share apiece, and there is no wide receiver one that comes out of this. I don't mean wide receiver one in terms of like performance, but I mean like a top dog. Like there just may not be a top dog, and that's very possible. That's why I'm targeting this room way more in best ball than I plan to in redraft.
For sure. Yeah.
Just because I want to get a little bit of them and try to get their spike weeks, or maybe one does break out. But I do think it's reasonable to say, looking at their metrics from last year, I didn't feel like there was really a top dog when everybody was healthy. It kind of just seemed like it was a variable offense.
They spread it out quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll see. Hopefully those manufactured touches and all those screen passes that went Reed's way continue, and I can be right here. So
right.
So now the next wide receiver room we're going to look at is the New England wide receiver room. Now, as a Pats fan myself, it's very discouraging to see that the highest wide receiver going at ADP is at the 1401, and it makes me shed a tear inside, because I don't even think there was a Pats wide receiver drafted in my 10-man redraft league I just had this past weekend. So it's a little rough out here. As a Pats fan, I definitely think that they're going to be probably bottom 3, like unless they get some good, They get
they gotta
some good
figure it
stretch of
out.
games. Yeah, but they're going to probably be rolling with Jacoby Brissett to start the season, which is going to make me want to, cry.
We'll see. We'll
But-
see. I'm
And
not
Drake
sure.
May on the field.
Yeah. So without further ado, Boyds, do you want to start talking about your? Because I know you're a Pop Douglas fan, but
Yeah,
what's your
yeah.
take on the New England room?
Here, let me pull up the old underdog chart. Just that way, money where my mouth is. I have 24% Demario Douglas, 22% Javon Baker, 21% Jalen Polk. I haven't drafted any other wide receiver. Javon Baker specifically has fallen really far in ADP compared to where he was in the middle of the summer underdog. I know this is more redraft take, so that's kind of why I really haven't been drafting as much of him. He's really cooled off camp reports, preseason performances, stuff like that. So I don't want to be too overweight on him, and I already got a lot in the middle of the summer. But I really like Jalen Polk, especially in managed. I think he's a good upside shot. Could lead the wide receiver room. I have no problem there if you want to take a shot on a rookie who could spike in the second half of the season, like we saw with Jayden Reed, like we've seen with so many rookies before. Pop Douglas, I like. I don't really have interest in him in redraft because at that point I'm going running back, just taking upside shots at certain maybe bums, but could be producers for fantasy.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a murky wide receiver room, man, but there's going to be value there some way. I prefer much more in best ball because you don't have to worry about deciding when to start them, and you can just get the spike week after the fact, which is nice. But yeah, I'm open to taking shots on him. I like Drake May a lot. I hope that they start him rather quickly rather than Jacoby Brissett, even though Jacoby Brissett's fine. But when you spend the third overall pick on someone, you're not trying to get fine. You're trying to get a franchise quarterback, and I think you should see the field. So best ball, I'm interested. Redraft, not really too much.
Yeah, we don't want another Trey Lance situation to happen.
Yeah. I hope Drake May sees the field.
Mhm.
What do you guys think of the Pats wide receiver room?
So for me, if you don't mind me going,
I don't mind.
in redraft, I think I'm actually going to take the most expensive in this scenario with Jalen Polk.
For sure. Yeah.
Very similarly to Christian Watson, I am just very much in the upside wins championships mindset when I play fantasy football. And he's much more of an upside play, while Pop Douglas is a solid,
he'll just be fine.
Solid
Yeah.
slot receiver. Like you're gonna get
wide
volume
receiver
from him.
3 production,
But
I don't really care about that.
He's the Josh Palmer of the New England Patriots. But
way cheaper.
Yeah, true. But I mean, listen, Pop Douglas was the wide receiver 1 from week 7 on for the Patriots, which isn't saying much, but I have some numbers pulled up here. So he got like full playing time starting in week 7, and he missed weeks 13 and 14 because he got injured week 12. But when he played starting in week 7, he led the team in targets with 61 targets from week 7 until the end of the season. Okay. How many do you think the next closest target number was? He had 61 from week 7 until week 18.
38.
It's probably like 30 something for Ramondre.
The next closest pass catcher had 26 targets. So
was that Ramondre or does it not say?
I was just looking at receivers. I imagine the running back probably in the 30s.
Okay.
Who was it?
Okay.
It was Hunter Henry.
And
he was also first in receptions among pass catchers with 39. The next closest was 19. So he was taking over the targets and the receptions there. And there's a chance that he gives you 5 catches a game. I mean, maybe that's asking a lot. But 4 to 5 is probably a decent floor. He's not going to score any touchdowns because I don't know if he scored any touchdowns last year, maybe 1 or 2.
The Jacoby Myers tech.
Yeah. But if you like floor, then he's the guy for you. But I'm going to go ceiling in this case. And I'm going to go Jalen Polk, I think. Javon Baker is fine, but it's more of a dynasty, more of a best ball play.
Yeah. Who's a 19 round redraft league?
Yeah.
You're a degenerate.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's at that point, it's like that's probably like a 16 round, 17 round, 14 team or something.
Yeah. At that point, you have to be real deep to take it. If you want to take the upside shot, that's fine. But
any Kendrick Bourne fans, by the way?
Yeah, I got no problem.
No.
If you want to draft Kendrick Bourne or KJ Osborne with your 18th round pick in best ball, go for it. I haven't, never will.
I've taken Kendrick Bourne a little bit.
Yeah, I think I have some on FFPC, but because there's 20 rounds in there. So
yeah.
But yeah, on the underdog, no thank you.
Yeah. My thing with this is that like I
Tyquan
don't want to
Thornton?
draft it. Oh yeah, I forgot about him. I don't want to take any of these guys. Like if I'm in a redraft league, like if I'm honest, like I'm like in Boyd's camp at that point. I'm probably like if you're in leagues with kickers and defenses, which are some of us still are.
We
You're
dropped
going to be
defense
drafting
this
those
year.
at that point. Yeah, I wish, but
It's
I'm not in
huge.
that boat, unfortunately. Or running backs at that point. So like these are guys I just want to let sit on waivers until one kind of emerges after a few weeks and isn't scooped already. But it's at that point there's not going to be a whole lot of intriguing upside. I mean, this is going to probably be a bottom 5 offense this year. Like the only viable, I think, week in week out starter that you're ever going to have for fantasy this year from the team is going to be Ramondre or
Damn
Antonio
straight.
Gibson if Ramondre gets hurt. So like unless Drake May has a CJ Stroud type rookie year, which won't happen, but if it does, I need a spare change of shorts, but that's one of those things where
Get
we
him some
get,
new bridges.
yeah, like that's the only way that I think that there's going to be anybody else that's viable outside of like Polk could be, because it's a wide open room, so someone could emerge, and if they're like
Yeah.
middle of the pack, like he could be the guy. But
If you're gonna take a
I
stab on a
for
rookie
me,
wide
I'm out.
receiver at that point in the
Yeah,
draft, make sure it's Jalen Polk. Round
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
I'm not
14,
gonna be a bias
he's
fat
the one
fan.
that you're gonna want to take. But
he's
otherwise,
he's got decent capital, and
yeah,
I
high round
I
2.
think they're reporting that he's going to end up being a starter to start the season, which is huge. And I'm in a league with 7 Pats fans, so I have him on my roster so that week 4 when he puts up 20 points, I can give him to somebody the fuck else. So, like I roster him in a league in a redraft league, but that's strictly for like baiting
Playing league
purposes.
Yeah,
mates.
he's
Yeah,
being
yeah.
tactical. He's being smart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think it's like horrible to stash him, but if you have the depth for it, that's totally cool.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of tactical, let's talk about how well the Bills have equipped one of the best QBs in the NFL in Josh Allen. So
Aaron
we're
Rodgers
going to be moving
got.
on. Yeah, I know. We're going to be moving on to the Buffalo wide receivers. Now, we're not going to start I'm not going to start shitting on the Buffalo wide receivers,
Oh,
don't get
he's
me
gonna start
wrong, but
farting, bro, for sure.
no, when like you go from Diggs to being your top options as not being anybody clear, like you might have like Keon Coleman is the most expensive, but Curtis Samuel, for all we know, is the wide receiver one. It could be, Khalil Shakir. Like we have no idea what's going on, which is also why I'm a big believer in Kincaid, but we're not talking about tight ends, so we're gonna stick to wide receivers here. Um, I'm just gonna like begin this, and then you guys can piggyback off
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
your
But
turn.
in turn,
Yeah.
yeah, in terms of Keon Coleman, I'm out. Like the A10, I'm out. Like I would much rather get Brian Thomas, like hands down, and you can get him like the next round. Like I see way more potential for Brian Thomas to make that stride because the Jags also have a very easy schedule compared to the Buffalo Bills. Not that the Buffalo Bills are easy, but it's just the Jags have an easier schedule. And I think Brian Thomas is just better than Keon Coleman. Not to say Keon Coleman's going to be bad, but it's also hard for a rookie wide receiver to, be extremely viable at that price at the 810. Like you'd have to get a guy who's the clear number 1 wide receiver that's going to get the targets, and we really don't know where he's shaking out on the depth chart. And Curtis Samuel has turf toe currently. They say he's going to be healthy at the start of the season. No idea. Also, side note, somebody drafted Curtis Samuel at the 410 in my redraft league, and the commissioner texted me, and I started laughing just because, like, the thing is like the kid has made picks like that all the time, and he actually won one year. So like, I can't fault him for
He's
anything. Like,
cooking. He's
right.
cooking.
I don't know. He's cooking up some cereal, I guess, but it is what it is. But I think, like, honestly, my favorite value out of this wide receiver room is Khalil Shakir, just because you get him at the 11-11, and he
Take
will
the
have those
cheapest
spike
one.
weeks. Yeah, he's more like the best ball play, but like if I was in like a deeper league and like I was just trying to get like a 5th or 6th wide receiver, like he'd be a guy I'd be interested in. Like I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to target him. Like, like let's just say like I want a later running back, I'd try to get like Chase Brown, like something like that. It's just that if he's there and he's the best option, I'm taking him. But like Curtis Samuel, I'm not really like going to take unless he's fallen to like, the 11th, 12th round. And Keon Coleman is just like, y'all can have him.
I mean,
Uh,
an underdog. Curtis Samuel was going in like the 8th round or something at
Yeah,
one
he was
point,
being
wasn't
really
he?
expensive,
Yeah.
until he got hurt.
Like,
Now he's falling
That's
down to
so
earth.
crazy to me. I'm on the exact same boat with Khalil Shakir. That's the one that I've drafted the most. That's the one that if I take any of these guys in redraft, it will be him. Not only do I like him because he's the cheapest, I think he's also going to have the most productive season out of all of them. He's been with Josh Allen for 2 years already, going on his 3rd year this year, and he's a 15 yards per reception guy. So, like you said, it's probably going to be spike weeks. But if he starts getting volume alongside his downfield usage, then he could be a pretty valuable asset, a decent flex play. I don't hate Curtis Samuel. I hate his cost. If he kept falling, I wouldn't mind taking a stab. Keon Coleman is just. I was drafting him like a month ago, and then I watched him play and watched how camp went, and then I kind of stopped.
Watched him play.
I kind of stopped. So originally I probably would have been in on Keon Coleman, but Shakir is my pick here as well. I think he can actually be sneaky solid this year.
I think the best way to put it is that whoever emerges from this room is going to have like that Tyler Boyd-esque type year where they just come out of the woodworks as like, they were previously like a back end wide receiver that has a couple years of viability just because they're talented enough to do so, but they also now have the opportunity in a more wide open room.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just one of those like things that I like, would think could happen with him. Completely different types of players, not saying they are. But that's just kind of like what I'm thinking. Like I'd see it as a success if any of these guys get over 1,000 yards this year, which I think I think the best bet for that would be Kincaid, but that would also be phenomenal if Kincaid got over 1,000 yards. But it's one of those things where if you get anything out of this, like choose who you want at the back end, maybe not Coleman, but try to target Kincaid in your drafts if you can. I'm a big believer in Kincaid this year. I'm not sure how you guys feel. We'll talk about that in our tight end episode, but that's just kind of what I've been getting from this whole wide receiver room.
Yeah, not really interested in it. Shakir
No.
definitely is the one. I don't really understand the Keon Coleman love. If you're gonna take Keon Coleman, I think you should just take Deontay Johnson instead. I like Deontay a lot, and I think he
agree.
actually will put fancy points in your lineup rather than whatever Keon Coleman's gonna do. If you're going round 8 as a rookie, he should be a good prospect, and he's just not really the kind of prospect that I want to put my eggs into the basket for. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not interested. Curtis Samuel was way too pricey. I had none of him while he was going round 8. Now I've sprinkled in some while he's going like round 10. Sometimes you get him round 11 with his injury. Or it's round 10 now that people aren't really as worried. But yeah, Khalil Shakir. If you're gonna take the stab on the cheapest one, the one that can arguably has the same kind of upside as the one that goes 3 rounds earlier. That's just
Yep.
good business.
Yes, sir. All right. And now, in other terms of good business, we're going to talk about these ambiguously goated wide receiver rooms. And we're going to go over Chicago and Houston here. So, Houston is obviously, the big, like, what's going on here because they have 3 great names. We don't know how the back 2 are going to do. We obviously know that the top one is the top one. And they obviously have, DeAndre Swift at the helm at the running back room, and they have Caleb Williams. So, we'll see how this offense ends up playing out. But Vic, I believe it's your turn here. Do you want to kick us off and your take on this room?
Sure. As long as my connection cool, because you guys are mega robotic on my end. So if I sound like
Yo,
shit,
you sound good for us.
okay.
No, you sound good.
Cool. So I will start off with who I'm not drafting. It shouldn't be a secret to many people. Romeo Odunze, I just can't take it. 6'12". It's just not going to happen for me. You need, in my opinion, you need one of DJ Moore or Keenan Allen to go down for him to bring back value at that cost. That's just crazy to me. I understand where they drafted him. I understand he's good. I'm not trying to discredit that by any means. I just think Keenan Allen and DJ Moore are such target earners that there just isn't enough to go around ultimately. And I'm a Keenan Allen guy. So in this scenario, I've been wavering back and forth, man. I have a lot of DJ Moore and I have a lot of Keenan Allen. So I would say if Keenan Allen can command the type of targets, which obviously, I mean, he's not going to be getting 17 targets like he did on the Chargers. I just don't see that happening, especially with someone like DJ Moore next to him. But I do think it's going to be a funnel offense through those two guys. And because of that, and because I'm not going to buy the narrative that Keenan Allen is toast, at cost of 604, I'm going to take Keenan Allen more than I'm going to take DJ Moore. But I do think DJ Moore is a great pick at ADP. I mean, he was like wide receiver 8 or something last year, I think. I thought he was up there in the top 10 and he was incredibly solid. And that was with Justin fucking Fields. And I'm thoroughly convinced that Caleb Williams is going to be better. Shocker. So, you know, I'm buying Keenan Allen at cost. That doesn't mean I dislike DJ Moore at cost, though. Like in main event, I have the 12 spot. So I'm going to be looking at the 36, 37 picks. And if DJ Moore is there, that could be a click for me. So, you know, I like them both, but just looking at cost and historic production, I'm going to go with Keenan Allen in this circumstance, I think, over DJ Moore.
I got you. I mean, I'm a little bit conflicted at the end of it, but Boyd, what is your take on this wide receiver room before I get my 2 cents?
At cost, DJ Moore, Rome, Keenan Allen. I really like DJ Moore. I think you're getting Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, round 2, round 3, sometimes round 4 in a home league for Malik Neighbors. Odunze went 3 picks later, 4 picks, whatever, like 5. Like it's still top 10 draft capital, and he's going in round 6. I'm 100% biting on that. I don't care. I don't think that he's not going to outperform Keenan Allen at the start of the year, but what you're looking for is back half upside. Odunze has that top 10 draft capital, and I think that at that price, I'm 100% willing to play that bet, more so than I am willing to pay Marvin Harrison at the 1-2 turn. That's too expensive for me. End of round 6 or round 7, very palatable for Odunze. I really like that. But I think DJ Moore is the top guy. I think DJ Moore has been so good his whole entire career, and he actually gets like a quarterback now. Let's go, guys. DJ Moore's getting a quarterback. That's really exciting. And I honestly just fucking draft any of them and then stack with Caleb Williams later on. And I think you're really set. I think that's a really good, strong start. And especially in best ball, I think that's going to give you a lot of spike weeks. I have a lot of stacks with multiple Bears wide receivers and then Caleb. And I think that their offense is going to be really high powered. Sucks to say as a Lions fan, but they're going to be damn good. And I'm cool with any of the 3. I just don't really want to bet on a 32-year-old, really aged wide receiver to keep producing when all they gave up was a 4th-round picks and the Chargers clearly didn't really value him anymore. I would just rather take the shot on cheaper, top 10 draft capital, should have the back half of the year explosion rather than the first half dominance, which is kind of like how I like to build my teams. I'll try to funnel the points in the first half with other different picks and then stack Odunze so that way back half, if he comes online, you never know. It's all about risk. That's like a risk tolerance thing. If he comes online, though, it'd be really helpful for the back half of the year. If he sucks, then I'm out of a 6th-round pick. That's life.
That's fair. Yeah,
I like all the Bears wide receivers, though. I really don't think you can go wrong. Just draft whichever one you like. I think the offense is going to be really good. Not interested in Komet. Swift is okay. I like Herbert more at cost. Way more at cost.
So gun to your head, if you can only pick one, you're taking Odunze at cost over DJ Moore at cost?
I'm taking Moore at cost.
Round 4 more on sleeper, 100% taking that. Underdog, he goes like early round 3. So at cost, I don't really have a problem with Odunze more so than that. But I love DJ Moore. I've been drafting a ton of him. Even at his early round 3 cost and underdog, I think I have like 12% mid round 3. So I really like DJ Moore.
He's going 404 in main event, which
that's awesome. I would love that. I know it's a tight end premium league. Yeah, but I love that cost.
Dad and I haven't talked about drafting him like we've been talking about like Waddle and Devontae Smith, but
I do prefer Waddle, but I think I do prefer DJ Moore over Devontae.
He should probably be in that conversation. I don't know.
Yeah, Waddle goes.
Yeah.
No, Waddle goes at the 310 on sleeper, and DJ Moore goes at the 4-1. So they're going like
they're close. Yeah. Where does Devontae go on sleeper?
Devontae goes at the 501.
Damn.
So yeah, they pushed running backs up. Yeah, there's running backs that get pushed up on sleeper. But I'll just add my 2 cents here on the situation. I'm personally not touching Allen or Odunze. I wasn't
fair.
encouraged by Allen's, preseason, and obviously there was
You
a
don't
whole
like
thing
fat
that he
Keenan
came
Allen?
in. Yeah, no, he didn't. He came in like heavy. Apparently he's been eating a lot of Chicago style pizza. I don't really give a shit. It's
I
one of
would
those things
too.
where I think it could be how Boyd's was saying, like Romeo Odunze can have a second half stretch, and then Keenan Allen could have a first half stretch, and that's how they split it up. But at the sixth round, I would much probably prefer Rashee Rice at the 6'10. I'd honestly prefer Chris Godwin at the 703. You have, Worthy, Ridley going in the middle end of the seventh
I feel like
round. Like
Odunze's just got
they'll
better upside than Godwin.
yeah, there is
I do
that
agree on
factor to
Rashee
it.
Rice. I have no problem if you prefer Xavier
Yeah,
Worthy either, because it's the same kind of bet.
right, right. But it's like one of
Rashee
those
Rice is good
things
though.
where like Rome Dunze is kind of one of those like, does it fit your build kind of things?
For
Because if
sure,
he's your
yeah.
second or third wide receiver, I'm not taking
No,
him. Like
yeah,
I
that's
am a
not fun.
proponent to take risk, but I'd rather take the risk of Rice than I would,
For
with
sure.
with
You want
Rome.
someone who's actually going to score confidently at the start of the year, someone that you can actually feel
Right.
like you can plug into
Right.
your lineup and not be like, oh, are they
Mhm.
even going
And
to really get targets?
ultimately,
Mhm.
if you draft like me, the 6'12, I mean, if you draft like anybody, that's probably a starter spot. So
Mhm.
um, that's what it depends on the way your league is set up, I suppose, and how strong you go wide out. But I'm going kind of like early running back this year, so I tend to have wideouts. Like this is a range I'm going wideouts for my starting lineup,
Mhm.
and that's why I can't press that
That makes
button.
sense.
If he's on your
Yeah.
bench or your seventh round pick is going to be, he's going to be battling with your seventh round pick for your flex, then I can understand that because
That's how
that
I
is
build my teams. Is I would stack wide receiver and then I would pick up Rome wide receiver 4 or like
sure,
whatever, and
yeah, and
then like stack that.
that's
But I get what
fine.
you're saying though. I get what you're saying. It's all about like how you build your team. You know.
Yeah,
That's
I love the upside. I feel like there's more upside with Keenan Allen than people want to admit, but maybe I just refuse to give up. Maybe
Well, it's not like you really
that's just
took a
what it is.
step back last year. It's
Yeah,
just
Keenan was
is he
really
going to
good.
hit
I just
that
worry
dreaded
about like
cliff?
yeah, because like it just comes out of nowhere, and they gave up for a fourth round pick. The Chargers did, so like it just
I just think the
I'm
Chargers
more
are
apprehensive about a 32 like betting on a 32-year-old wide receiver to keep that high like efficiency level. But he
yeah.
is one of the
Yeah.
best wide receivers of our like the last 10 years generation, like whatever you want to say this generation. Like he's been one of the best. So if you want like it's kind of like a Devontae Adams or I guess like Larry Fitzgerald S kind of thing where it's like yeah you're just gonna keep betting on this guy to be good until he's not.
Right.
And I just worry that the part where he's not will happen kinda like how Diggs did last year, where it just, like, was really good and then it was really not, and that,
Mhm.
like, that cliff just comes. I don't know if it's here for Diggs either, we'll get to that in a second, that's kind of a good little
I was just gonna say,
that was a good
Yeah.
speaking of
segue right there.
Yeah.
when
That was natural.
no, that was good. It's funny you say that because I was gonna try to hint in our Google Doc about us talking about the Texans next because
Yeah, like
I was gonna use Shakir to talk about how Shakir was like better than Diggs at the end of last year. And
Yeah,
then like,
yeah.
oh wow, Stephon Diggs, but Boyd did it
Uh,
himself and it just by accident. So
natural segue.
yeah.
yeah.
We're good here, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, I was making cheesy segues, and you guys got the actual, the nitty gritty stuff. So now we're moving on to it. So in terms of the Texans wide receiver room, Boyds, this is your go.
Oh,
So
this is me.
without further ado.
Draft them. That's my strategy if you wanna win money in 2024, I think you should draft Houston Texans. I vastly prefer Nico Collins. He was really good last year. A lot of people don't really want to recognize that because his name's Nico Collins instead of like Jamar Chase, but he was fantastic last year. Tank Dell was on pace with Puka Nakua until he got hurt. Tank Dell was having an amazing rookie year. I get it. Broke a leg bone, got shot. Not great, but he still was on pace with Puka and just had an absolutely phenomenal rookie year. And at that cost of like around 5, definitely worth a shot. Round 307 right now is where Nico is, 1 pick ahead of Diggs. I prefer Nico over Diggs by a round. So that like Nico Collins, Ryan's dead.
Yeah, he's gone. We've
Yeah,
lost
so
him.
yeah, he's gone. I'll just keep talking. I prefer Nico Collins. I mean, I don't know. We're live here, guys. We're gonna roll. I prefer Nico Collins over Diggs, and I would take him around earlier. So getting him a pick before Diggs really is awesome to me. I think I just take a stab on any of them. Diggs, I'm not too worried about the back half of the year fall off, but if you are, take Nico. Or if you don't like either of them because you think Nico had a fake year, you just wait 2 rounds to take Dell, and it provides like an easy avenue to a great stack with CJ Stroud. If you're playing best ball, it opens up the comeback, bring back games with Baltimore for week 17 for the correlation, which is huge. I just like drafting Houston. They're really priced up on underdog specifically, but Tank Dell round 5 on sleeper, I'll take that.
Yeah, and I'm also gonna continue to talk, even though our
Ryan's dead.
our
He's
beloved
gone.
friend is gone. He
The host is
said,
dead.
"Yeah, he said I gotta go draft some Houston wideouts, so I'll be back in." It's just
His
us.
box is gone.
Who's
Okay,
who's
Fuck
even
it, we'll do it live.
who's
Who's
even
in
the host?
charge?
Oh my
It's
god!
like when the teacher leaves the class. Like, what are we
Oh
supposed
my
to do?
gosh! I don't. It says we're recording, but I don't know if we are. That's
We're
the
just
thing.
gonna roll like we are. I hope it is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair analysis. Looking at like the deep numbers. So yards per route run, Nico Collins had 3.37, which is fucking insane,
Yep.
and was
second behind Tyreek, right?
Yep. Hey,
He's back!
Woo!
My power surged in my apartment, so I went like this. I'm like, what just happened? Everybody
Yeah. Are we still
check my
recording?
pants for a second. Yeah, it's still recording. We're
Oh,
good.
sweet.
We're
Yeah,
good.
we kept
Okay,
talking.
cool. Okay.
We're good.
So-
The show is still on, boys.
Yeah, we're live.
So Nico Collins was second in yards per route run last year, behind only Tyreek Hill.
Dog.
He had a .138 first down per route run, which ranked 5th in the NFL. So he's just a baller. I have no problem if someone takes him at that cost. I would agree that his name being Nico Collins like makes me hesitate for some reason.
Yeah, it's
Personally?
definitely the couple of years of not great production, like middling production on a
but
bad offense.
I
Devontae Adams had a bad couple of years to start his career. I'm not saying he's Devontae Adams, but like,
right.
you know.
I was in on Nico Collins last year,
Yeah.
not to the degree that he performed.
I had him in our home league and traded him.
Yeah, I had him. I left the Dynasty League, but I traded him away in whatever Dynasty League I was in with you.
Sunset Diner.
Yeah, and I was like, I was sad about it. But on the flip side, I'm not taking Stefon Diggs very much. He's gonna have moments. He's gonna be good. He's still Stefon Diggs. I'm probably being a head ass in this circumstance. At cost, I'm gonna take Nico Collins over Diggs, 99 out of 100. And overall, I'm gonna take Tank Dell over both of them. I'm a big Tank Dell guy. Tank Dell is CJ Stroud's like best friend in the whole universe, and I think that speaks volumes.
He said he's great.
He wanted them to draft him. They drafted him. He balled out. Looking at, like you said, Tank Dell had a great year, 2.4 yards per route run as a rookie. What is wrong with me?
He was a rookie receiver. He's gone. And we lost him.
He's gone. Yeah.
We lost him.
The stout got to him. The stout got to you.
Ryan left, so now I left. Boyd is next. Anyway,
I'm out of here.
But
everything's fine.
Long story short, I could get into all the. I'm not going to. He was very, very good as a football player in his rookie year. He wasn't a good rookie. He was a good wide receiver.
Yep.
So now we have, yes, broke a leg. Yes, shot. But, it happens.
Good at football.
It happens.
I don't care if he's short.
He's fucking good. And I'm drafting the shit out of him. So I think he's a great value. I'm taking him a bunch. He's my favorite of these 3 guys to draft, hands down. If I leave a draft with Tank Dell as, I got him in my home league, and ESPN is my first bench receiver, and that's a start 3 with a flex. So on ESPN, if you're an ESPN drafter, look at his ADP because it might be absolutely buried. I don't know how I got him on my team.
Crazy.
But yeah, I love Tank Dell. I love all of these guys, just like Boyd said, but Tank Dell is my priority target out of these 3. And then very closely followed by Nico Collins, and then a bit of a gap before Diggs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of in with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, but it's kind of one of those situations where like we could see for first time in a while like 3 1,000-yard receivers on the same squad, because Stroud clearly is capable of supporting such a cast.
Good at football.
Yeah, and I think the loser is either going to be Diggs or Schultz if you had to put like gun to my heads. But like Schultz is also one of those ones where if you get him as like your last pick, like and you literally went like that type of build, but where you just punted tight ends, like I wouldn't knock it. But I don't think that he's going to be. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I don't think that he's going to be all that good. But in terms of the wide receivers, I think you can't go wrong with any of them. I'm personally not going to take Diggs just because of where he's going. Like he's going at the 308 right after Nico Collins at the 307 on sleeper. So I'd much rather get, like Cup, Waddle, we just talked DJ Moore. Like I'd rather get those guys than Diggs at that round. But like it's not like if you draft Diggs, it's a death sentence. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's not like he's like a landmine, in my opinion, at least. He could be. But I think that there are better options on the board at that point. When I would much rather have Nico Collins. I actually wanted Nico Collins.
And Ryan died?
He died again.
Yep.
So what he was going to say was,
he wanted Nico Collins.
I wanted Nico Collins in this other league that I'm in, but unfortunately he got taken. So then
couldn't draft Nico Collins.
He couldn't draft Nico
and
Collins.
We'll never know what he drafted yet. We won't know.
Yeah.
That Florida weather is kicking his ass right now. That's all I know.
I don't know. He might have been electrocuted. I'm not totally sure what's going on.
The cyber chase.
I mean, we can't even end the recording.
We can't. We're just sitting here.
Wait.
What's up, brother?
Oh.
Tuesday.
Oh no, yeah, no, we're fucked.
We can't end the recording.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can do a slideshow. That's about it, though.
I can't do anything.
Oh wait,
I'm just a useless schlub.
How about? Oh yeah. I'm in a basketball gym now.
How did you do that?
You gotta click the gear option, settings, and then there's virtual background. And then look at this. Don't mind me in my massive apartment. Yeah, dude, make it out of the same room.
I'm also in your apartment. This is sick.
This is crazy. How do you get in here?
Oh my gosh.
Really high ceilings.
This is a shit show, dude. Oh man. Is this you just texted us. Is this my internet or is it doing this for you guys too?
Yeah, you're cooked.
Not us, brother. Not us, brother. Finger. Where's the finger?
Cooked. He is cooked.
There it is. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess we'll just chill for the meantime because we can't start running. We're done.
Yeah, that was it. Okay. Thank you for watching this episode. Ryan's gone. So thank you for checking it out and make sure you hit like, subscribe, share it, send it to people, comment tacos if you watch the whole thing. We appreciate you, all 7 of you, and draft whichever Bears wide receiver you like. and have a great day. Ryan's dead. This is a shit show. I hope he keeps that outro.